The truck market is under more pressure right now than it has been in years. Tariffs are driving up costs. Sales across nearly every full-size truck brand declined in the first quarter of 2026. These are 5 truck brands that are in serious trouble, and the problems go much deeper than a bad sales quarter. Number 5. Nissan Truck Division. Nissan's truck ambitions in North America are essentially dead. The Titan full-size truck was discontinued after the 2024 model year after years of dismal sales that never came close to challenging the F-150, Silverado, or Ram. The Titan consistently captured less than 2% of the full-size truck market. It was a truck that Nissan kept building long after the market had moved on. The broader picture at Nissan is even more concerning. The company has been posting disappointing global sales numbers and has cut its profit forecast multiple times. In the US, Nissan's lineup is aging across the board. The Frontier remains a solid mid-size truck and actually posted sales gains recently, but one mid-size truck cannot carry an entire truck strategy. Nissan has no full-size truck, no heavy-duty truck, and no announced plans to re-enter either segment. The company is leaning on crossovers and sedans, while competitors invest billions in next-generation truck platforms. Unless Nissan commits serious resources to its truck lineup, it risks becoming irrelevant in the most profitable vehicle segment in America. Number 4. Rivian. Rivian launched with enormous hype and some genuinely impressive products. The R1T electric truck earned praise from critics for its off-road capability, innovative features, and driving dynamics. But the financial reality behind the brand is alarming. Rivian has been losing tens of thousands of dollars on every vehicle it sells. The company burns through cash at a rate that makes investors nervous, and the path to profitability remains unclear. Consumer Reports ranks Rivian at the bottom of its reliability survey, dead last among all brands. Owners report electrical issues, software glitches, and build quality problems that are typical of a startup still working through production growing pains. The service network is tiny compared to established truck brands, which means long wait times for repairs and limited options in most markets. Electric truck sales across the entire industry have slowed dramatically as tax credits disappeared and charging infrastructure failed to keep pace with demand. Rivian is caught in the worst possible position. It is an EV-only brand in a truck market that is retreating from electrification. The R2 and R3 models coming in the future could change the story, but right now, Rivian is burning money faster than it can sell trucks, and time is not on its side. Number 3. Tesla Cybertruck. Tesla is not a traditional truck brand, but the Cybertruck was supposed to change that. Instead, it has become one of the most high-profile product failures in modern automotive history. Sales collapsed 48% in 2025, dropping to just over 20,000 units. Elon Musk had originally projected annual production of 250,000 Cybertrucks. The actual number came in at barely 8% of that target. Production in early 2026 is running at roughly 5,000 units per quarter. The Cybertruck has accumulated 6 recalls covering nearly every unit built since late 2023. Build quality complaints include panel gaps, premature rust on the stainless steel body, doors opening by themselves, and software failures affecting basic vehicle functions. Tesla has slashed prices repeatedly, launching a new all-wheel drive model at under $60,000 and cutting the Cyberbeast by $15,000. A rear-wheel drive variant was launched and quietly killed just months later. Political backlash against Musk has driven additional buyers away from the brand. Multiple publications have labeled the Cybertruck one of the biggest automotive flops in decades. Tesla's truck ambitions are in freefall, and the Cybertruck's future looks increasingly bleak. Number 2. GM Truck Division. General Motors sells more trucks than almost anyone. The Silverado and Sierra are staples of the American truck market, but behind the sales volume, GM's truck division is dealing with a series of compounding crises that are eroding consumer trust at an alarming rate. The 6.2-liter V8 recall is the headline. Over 721,000 trucks and SUVs from 2021 through 2024 were recalled for connecting rod and crankshaft defects that can cause complete engine failure without warning. NHTSA opened a separate investigation into an additional 286,000 vehicles going back to 2019. Replacement engines are on back order. Some owners have waited months. The 5.3-liter V8 has its own long-running issues with AFM lifter failures that have plagued GM truck owners for years. The 10-speed automatic transmission shared across the lineup has generated ongoing complaints. Electric truck sales are cratering. The Silverado EV, Hummer EV, and GMC Sierra EV all posted sharp sales declines in the first quarter of 2026. GM took $7.6 billion in charges for 2025 and indicated more are likely in 2026. First quarter 2026, truck sales fell compared to the prior year. The new 6th generation small block V8 arriving for 2027 is GM's chance to reset the narrative, but the damage to consumer confidence is real. Truck buyers have long memories, and a recall affecting nearly 1 million vehicles does not get forgotten quickly. GM has the resources and the infrastructure to recover, but it needs the new engines and the redesigned Silverado and Sierra to deliver on reliability in a way the current generation hasn't. Number 1. Stellantis. Stellantis is in the deepest trouble of any major automaker in the world right now, and it is not even close. In February of 2026, the company announced a $26 billion write-down, the largest in global automotive history. To put that number in perspective, it is larger than the entire annual revenue of many Fortune 500 companies. It is more than Ford lost on its entire electric vehicle division over multiple years combined. One industry analyst called the EV reversal across the auto industry the single biggest capital allocation mistake in automotive history, and predicted at least $100 billion in total write-downs across all manufacturers. Stellantis just claimed the largest single share of that catastrophe in one announcement. The bulk of those charges came from canceled electric vehicle programs and the cost of resizing its EV supply chain after demand failed to materialize. The all-electric Ram 1500 REV, which was supposed to compete directly with the Ford F-150 Lightning and Chevrolet Silverado EV, was killed outright. Billions in development costs for that truck were written off. Chrysler's planned pivot to an EV-only brand was scaled back dramatically. Jeep's electrification timeline was thrown out and rebuilt from scratch. The company reported a net loss for 2025 and announced it would not pay a dividend in 2026. Shares crashed nearly 30% in a single day, wiping out billions in shareholder value and signaling to the market that the problems at Stellantis were far worse than leadership had previously admitted. The problems at Stellantis go far beyond one bad quarter or one bad bet on electric vehicles. Former CEO Carlos Tavares departed in late 2024 amid growing conflict with the board, dealers, and the UAW. His exit was sudden and ugly. The company cited differing views between Tavares and the board of directors, but the real story was a leadership approach that had systematically alienated nearly every stakeholder in the business. Under Tavares, Stellantis pursued a relentless strategy of cutting costs and raising prices. The goal was to maximize profit margins on every vehicle sold. The result was that the company priced its core customers out of the showroom. Jeep is the clearest example of how badly this strategy backfired. Jeep was once one of the hottest brands in America. The Wrangler had a cult following. The Grand Cherokee was a top seller in the midsize SUV segment, but under Stellantis, prices climbed into luxury territory. A loaded Grand Cherokee could push past $60,000. Even the Wrangler, historically an accessible vehicle for outdoor enthusiasts and young buyers, crept toward $50,000 on most lots. The company pursued wealthy buyers with models like the Grand Wagoneer, which topped out at over $120,000 with 7 screens in the interior. Meanwhile, entry-level trims were stripped down or eliminated, leaving traditional Jeep buyers with nowhere to go except competing brands. Jeep sales dropped 36% from pre-pandemic levels. The Gladiator, which launched to massive excitement in 2020, saw sales fall year after year as the price rose and the product stagnated. The dealer network reached a breaking point. Ram dealers entered late 2024 with a 142-day supply of trucks sitting on their lots. The industry standard is roughly 60 days. Dodge dealers had 131 days of supply. Jeep had 126. Vehicles were piling up on lots faster than salespeople could move them, and the inventory carrying costs were eating into dealer profitability. The situation got so bad that the head of Stellantis' National Dealer Association wrote a public letter directly to Tavares calling out the direction of the company. The letter described the situation as an alarm being sounded not just for the CEO, but for the board, employees, investors, and suppliers. Stellantis responded publicly by dismissing the criticism, which only deepened the rift. Dealers who had been loyal to the brand for decades began openly questioning whether Stellantis understood the American truck market at all. The company is now conducting a full brand review under new CEO Antonio Filosa. Stellantis operates 14 brands globally, including Jeep, Ram, Dodge, Chrysler, Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and Lancia in the American and European markets. Under Tavares, each brand was given a decade-long window to prove its viability. That timeline has been scrapped. Filosa is assessing which brands are worth keeping and which ones should be sold or shut down. Reuters has reported that European brands are the most likely targets for cuts, but the American lineup has its own problems. Chrysler is down to just minivans. Dodge has an anemic lineup outside the Durango. Fiat and Alfa Romeo combined sell fewer vehicles in America than the much-maligned Dodge Charger Daytona EV by itself. In the truck space specifically, Ram has been the focus of the recovery effort. The company killed the all-electric Ram Rev and pivoted to an extended-range electric vehicle that pairs a battery with a gas generator, similar to what Ford is doing with the next F-150. Jeep brought back the Hemi V8 after admitting it had made a mistake by dropping it in favor of the Hurricane Inline 6. The Grand Cherokee 4xe plug-in hybrid continues to rank among the least reliable SUVs on the market, with a Consumer Reports predicted reliability score of 1 out of 5. The Jeep Compass was called the worst product Jeep currently makes by one major automotive outlet. Consumer Reports' 2026 brand rankings place Jeep, Dodge, and Alfa Romeo at the very bottom of the entire industry. There are real signs of a turnaround, and they deserve acknowledgement. Ram posted a 24.8% sales increase in the first quarter of 2026, its best quarter since 2022. Ram heavy-duty trucks had their best quarter since 2021. The return of the Hemi V8 is widely credited for driving this recovery. Truck buyers who had walked away from the brand when the V8 disappeared are coming back. The introduction of a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, the best in the segment, is generating real buyer interest and signaling that Ram is serious about standing behind its products. CEO Tim Kuniskis, who returned to lead the Ram brand, has been transparent about the company's mistakes and focused on rebuilding trust with both dealers and customers. But the scale of the hole Stellantis is digging out of cannot be overstated. $26 billion in write-downs, a net loss for the prior fiscal year, no dividend for shareholders, a CEO departure that exposed deep dysfunction in company leadership, a fractured dealer network that spent years being ignored, a portfolio of vehicles that Consumer Reports ranks among the least reliable in the entire industry, a brand review that could result in some of the oldest names in the auto business being sold or shut down, and a competitive landscape where Toyota, Ford, and GM are all investing aggressively in new truck platforms, new engines, and new technology, while Stellantis is still cleaning up the mess left by years of mismanagement. The recovery is possible. Ram's first quarter results prove that the right product at the right price with the right message can bring buyers back. But Stellantis needs to replicate that success across Jeep, Dodge, and whatever else survives the brand review. That is a multi-year effort that requires consistent execution, competitive products, and a rebuilt relationship with a dealer network that has every reason to be skeptical. The margin for error is zero. One more misstep, one more quality scandal, one more tone-deaf pricing decision, and the progress Ram has made could evaporate overnight. Stellantis is not dead, but it is closer to the edge than any major automaker has been in a very long time.